Alright, so in today's video, I got the Platinum Trophy on Ratchet and Clank. This game is one of many in the Ratchet and Clank series, obviously, but it released back in 2016, and it's kind of based off of the Ratchet and Clank movie, and just a lot of other Ratchet and Clank games overall. I also did not know this game even existed, because it's not really a quote-unquote new addition to the franchise. It's more of a remaster of previous elements. But in total, it has 47 trophies, including the Platinum, and it takes at least 2 playthroughs to complete, and surprisingly, it has quite a few missable trophies to pay attention to throughout. Anyways, this is also a part of a challenge where I've been trying to platinum over 100 games suggested by the community. And if I can't complete them all before the channel hits 850,000 subscribers, then I have to shave my head and look like a base character from a video game. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Stage 1 to getting the platinum done, however, is just beat the story while also grabbing any missables possible. The Ratchet and Clank story kicks off with a bit of a monologue from Captain Quark, who is sort of the storyteller of the game for the most part. It's kind of confusing how it all works, but this game is primarily an origin story for Ratchet and Clank. And once we get to Ratchet after a little cutscene, it shows him first trying to become a galactic ranger and going through this big course in front of a giant crowd of people cheering or praying on his downfall. However you perceive it is up to you. And within the training or contest here, there is just a few simple combat encounters, and overall it's a hidden tutorial for the game, like literally every other game has. Once completing the training, you do also receive the first trophy of the game like expected. A cutscene then played, and I'm pretty sure this is copyrighted material because it's ripped straight out of the movie for Ratchet and Clank, and PlayStation even told me that recording is prohibited, but they can suck my balls because I still did it. Anyways, during the cutscene, it showed Ratchet getting chosen to be a galactic ranger, and then it cuts to him getting let go of the program right away because he's not cut out for the job. We then see it swap over to Clank's storyline this time, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really enjoy playing as Clank for the most part because he almost always has us doing puzzles, and comparing that to Ratchet's non-stop combat, it's really not a fair battle of interest. However, this first time as Clank, it did have us doing some high action activities like running away from certain death and peril, and once you did in fact run away completely, another story trophy popped, with another cutscene playing after and showing Clank flying up high into the skies. That is before he crash landed, and guess who found him instantly? Yup, Ratchet did. This is like the furry adaptation of E.T. from another universe if you really think about it. So now we are playing for good with no more setup really happening, and this first planet's goal is just get back to our garage where Ratchet lives and works, because the planet is getting swarmed with enemies chasing after Clank because he just escaped, as we saw. So you kind of just run through enemies, killing them until reaching the garage, having to take out some stronger enemies and then making it inside. They then talked about how Ratchet needs to go save the Hall of Heroes from attack, and they both jump in a ship and get off the planet, ending up on another one called Novalis, which sounds like a nasal cream company based out of the Mediterranean. I would buy. This time, however, the goal wasn't as simple as just running to a place because our ship is now a bit broken after they crash landed on this planet so hastily. And almost instantly, I just got a random side trophy from modding a weapon for the first time. This is a giant part of the game in both making you stronger, but also trophies because you need to unlock every single mod in the entire game by the end of it, which is not cheap at all. Anyways, the first goal we did complete here was from saving the mayor of this odd place we landed in, and he was also stuck in a crash landing kind of way, being surrounded by enemies. Once we got rid of them all, he then came out to thank us, and he looks more like an adventure capitalist from the late 1800s than a mayor, but who's to say they aren't the same thing anyways. We had also saved this plumber guy at this point, and he for some reason knew how to fix spaceships also. I guess he's a man of multiple trades, much like my father, Mr. Sins. The next story trophy I got was then from another mission line, having us save this pro hoverboard racer named Skid, or Skid Marks if you want his government name, and he was on this planet called Iridia, which is the only one so far that doesn't sound completely made up. But saving Skid Marks was very easy, and it had us basically to shoot a few weak enemies that were surrounding him. Once done, they talked to us and thanked us for the help, and then flew away to the hoverboard pro racing scene, and this trophy popped. I then got a random trophy from trading in a set of duplicate holo cards for a new set of holo cards in the card selection part of this game. Holo cards in this game, by the way, are a type of collectible that can be found within the planets, but also as rare drops from killing enemies, and each set you complete unlocks an additional boost to your character, so they can be quite useful. They are also needed to be collected 100% for a trophy, so that's the main reason we are talking about them if you're wondering. And this is also technically a missable trophy because you can get all the cards in the game without trading any of them in, but that's actually really hard to do, so unless you never touch that, you'll probably just do it on accident. The following planet we went to was then called Rilligar, and it's a nice futuristic city, but unfortunately had an amoeboid infestation. Amoeboids are basically just giant booger monsters, and they were literally everywhere in this poor city. But you can get another missable trophy here from just not attacking them at all, and allowing the exterminabots to do all of the work. And once they kill 35 total, you would get this trophy. Now I have a little bit of beef with this trophy because I'm almost 100% certain that it's not missable, seeing as they do spawn back in when you return to this later. And the guide states they do not, which I think is a blatant lie, at least I'm pretty sure. But a little bit later on during this planet, you end up making it to the hoverboard racing track and being able to hoverboard race for the first time yet. And this is actually a really fun part of the game and has multiple trophies tied to it, some being easier than others, and the easiest of all was just winning the bronze cup on Rilligar, which I did first try. And if I hadn't, we would would be in big trouble because some of those hoverboard races are quite hard in comparison. After that side stuff though, Ratchet did lock in and went back on the main objective of saving the Hall of Heroes from attack, so we went to the planet and did our best to do just that. Now to get there, we actually had to go through a bunch of enemies, seeing as the planet is allegedly under attack, which might be a correct allegation, much like the Dr. Disrespect case that nobody talks about anymore. But there was a combat section that ventured onto a train, and as we all know on this channel, every good game has to have a train section. Maybe Sony exclusives just love that. I think that actually might be the case. We might have been played. But after making it past that train part, you arrive at the Hall of Heroes. You talk to some heroes already inducted into the hall, and then you get to do the hero training course, which is literally just a bunch of parkour that is not that hard to do. There was also a trophy here from speedrunning it, but I did not do that because I was too slow. You still do get a trophy upon finishing that course, however, so it's not complete lost cause. Ratchet then got sent on a secret mission from the captain, but it really wasn't a secret mission. It was literally a death mission, and the captain sent us on this because he does not like Ratchet one bit. That's actually insane. And the secret mission goal was to go kill this monster in the depths of hell named Blargian Snagglebeast. That has gotta be a racial slur of some sort. What kind of name is that, bro? This poor thing got dropped down the stairs and landed on an animal, and they just wrote down that sound as its name. But the fight against it overall was pretty easy, and that's mostly due to the fight being as basic as a white girl who has the Starbucks app on her phone. That's crazy. And I had him pretty much just do a roll or two as the major attacks or stages. So once we did win, I got another trophy. And almost right after that, I got another trophy from completing a set of holo cards finally. I might have the worst luck ever because that took quite a few hours and my gambling debt is only getting higher and higher. The next trophy I got was in Another Story 1, and it was a while later. But I made it to a planet called Gas Star, I think, or something like that. And its main and sole purpose was to give us the jetpack item to use both on it, but also on some other planets. And to get the jetpack, you have to collect brains from around the planet, which were guarded by enemies. Now I got a little bit sidetracked with the amount of combat at hand, so I went a little bit over the goal, but it was a ton of fun just flying around and killing stuff, so I have no regrets. We then talked to the jetpack giver dude. He showed us his robot army that was cooking and other useless info, but then the trophy did pop. And that robot army was a hint, as a matter of fact, for the next story section. It had us on a planet called Battalia, and conveniently enough, a battle did happen here, just like the planet's name. And I got to man a goddamn turret and just unleash hatred and taxpayer dollars into the sky for minutes on end. Finishing eventually, and once all the enemies, battleships as they say, were done for, I got this trophy. Shout out to the game Battleship, for real. Once I had someone block me because I beat them in a game of phone Battleship. You're a sore f***ing loser, Daniel. Anyways, the next trophy I got was then from another big fight, but this time it wasn't against battleships, just big booty white girls. I mean, sorry, a fat robot woman named Miss Zircon. But hey, at least she's married. Robots found love faster than we could. That's sad as shit. However, once I killed her and play with her remains, this trophy pops, so we'll be fine. You then have to play as Clank and do a ton of puzzles, and I mean a ton. I also got super confused because my brain was tired from the long day of breathing I had, and it just wasn't a good combination. I probably lasted longer in this room right here than my last 3 relationships did. It was insane. But once I did complete the power puzzle, it just led to another chase scene, and we finally took down Victor, who is the mean dude that's been chasing Clank relentlessly for the last 10 hours of gameplay. A while later in the story, you play as Ratchet again, and you end up in, yet again, another flying vehicle, raining bullets onto other flying vehicles. This time though, it was much more gruesome and unneeded because we weren't crashing battleships, but instead vessels carrying water. This is like the equivalent of popping the milkman's tires and seeing his truck crash with white liquid just pouring out the edges of it. Kinda sad, but I like it. And on one of the last planets in the story, I also finally reached a place where you can and should do the only real missable trophy of the game. You have to use a gun called the Sheepinator gun on a helicopter captain, and as far as I know, this is the only place to find the enemy at. So just spray him with sheep juices until he turns into one, and the trophy pops, knocking out essentially all of the missables we can do right now. Oh, and yeah, I did another hoverboard race on this planet as well, which was fun. It was more interesting than the first one also, which is nice. All that remain for trophies in the story at this point is 2 more boss fights. The first one being against the captain, who had it out for us due to nothing other than pure jealousy in his heart. Shameless. And the fight is actually super easy, but I was just not dodging or even attempting to dodge at all, so I did die my first try of it, and I'm actually disappointed in myself. This was sad to see, that's for sure. But once I did win on my second try, I got the trophy, so we can move on. And the final boss fight is against Dr. Nefarious, like you'd expect. Bro is Ratchet's #1 op, except for that purple sin that comes in the next game. And the fight is kind of cool because you have to use the jetpack a lot during it, but it also leads to some unsafe judgment calls, and I did die. Rest in fluff, you furry. However, it's again not hard. I am also playing on easy easy, so nothing really should be hard to be honest, except for maybe your wiener. But once you win, you get the trophy from beating him right here, and I swear that trophy name is a song I know. But then the credits played, and there's actually no trophy for simply beating the game aside from that last trophy we just got. So it's now on to stage 2, which is a sort of collectible stage, having to get all of the gold bolts and Rhino holocards, which are required for the Rhino gun that is needed for the all weapons trophy. And seeing as this is the collectibles section of the game, I did just kind of strap in for like 2 hours of playing, going for them solely, until I got sidetracked and did that brain side quest that had us grabbing 60 of them, which was actually 2 trophies once you did do that, and I had no idea they even existed. Simply doing it for the love of the game, baby. But while back on track going for collectibles, I got another missable one from solving all of the lock puzzles in the game without using the auto hack. And huge shout out to PowerPix for the video guide on these. Some of them were insanely confusing and I did use it. I then just did a random racing trophy after that because I got bored of the collectibles once more. My attention span is actually negative length now after all the brain rot I've endured. But then I finally did get all of the golden bolts for that trophy, and it only took half my remaining life force to achieve. I also got every gun in the game after that as well, with my last one being from a side quest that I forgot to do earlier, so that's cool. But now it is time for stage 3, the Miscellaneous trophy stage. Usually a favorite of mine because you can just bang out trophies like an animal or Its Ilusion on Adderall. And the first trophy I went after was from getting a time of under 1 minute and 35 seconds on the Rillagar Gold Hoverboard event, which for some fucking reason I found to be insanely hard and nobody else experienced its difficulty, it seems like, except for me. Skill issue in the chat, I guess. But seriously, I could not do this for like an hour of trying over and over. It was insane, and I almost crashed out over Ratchet and Clank, a kid's game. What the f is my problem? But then I did that training course from earlier again, and I did it within the speedrun time, which was very easy with all the tools and gadgets I had at my disposal now. I also did a somewhat buggy trophy from throwing 5 Clank robots into the Crusher as Clank, which did not pop when I got 5, so I restarted my console and did it again, which seems to fix its tracker. It's kind of weird, but here it is. And I then went to Iridia again and just meleeed a construction bot into quicksand, which I also did first try because I'm the GOAT. I then went back to the Holly Heroes planet and destroyed all of their lamps, because poorly lit areas are a little thing I'm fond of, I can't lie. Your girlfriend also loves little things apparently because she's dating your disappointing ass. And my next trophy was then from getting 40 kills with a jetpack on Gastar, which I'm shocked it didn't do naturally, but whatever. I also destroyed multiple droids on the assembly line in the factory. I let Ratchet get eaten by a shark because furries. No offense, but Halloween is the 31st of October, not Tuesday. And then I visited the captain's office again and destroyed it because we hate that green guy. And we also eavesdropped on some people getting a divorce. Shout out to the parents. Finally, the last trophy in stage 3 was then to just let Ratchet slide down the conveyor belt system into the claws of gripping demise and infinite regret. So here is that trophy. It is now stage 4, which is the final stage and will lead to the platinum on Ratchet and Clank. The main change in this stage is that we have to replay the entire game in challenge mode, which is a new game plus but with an XP multiplier added on. And the goal throughout this entire mess is to level up all of our guns to 10, unlock every gun mod, and also use the disco gun on every enemy to make them dance, which is highly missable, and I suggest following yet again PowerPix's video on it for the most part. I also did start that trophy in my normal playthrough when getting the disco gun, but the early enemies and bosses you cannot do on the first run at all. So with that all said, let's get into some trophies, you little stinky bitch. The first one I got here was just from simply leveling one gun to 10. Not all of them though, so rest in peace to grind. And my next trophy here was actually surprisingly enough from discoing all of the enemies in the game, which was a big surprise when I got it, but also a great one because I was worried I had missed an enemy or two. Turns out I did not. I also got this so soon in the challenge mode run since I've been using it right away like I mentioned during my normal one. But my next one was actually from getting 100% completion of holo cards, which is very easy to do, however, since you have to grind kills so much and holo card drops aren't really rare by the end of the game with all the boost you get from them in general. And I then just beat the challenge mode and got that trophy as well. But I did still have to level up 2 guns to 10 and get all the mods. Also level Ratchet to max as well. And instead of aimlessly running around the game's post-story finding some enemies here and there, I actually just went into challenge mode 2 or new game plus to get more XP. And this took another 2 hours of my life to get all the remaining XP I needed, which sucked butt. And the first of 3 trophies I got was actually the all mods trophy because you get so many of them, it's insane. And here it is. Then an hour later, I finally leveled everything up to 10. The sheep or goat gun, that shit does not have an equal leveling rating compared to everything else. It's actually a scam. But then I did just have to play a little bit more using any gun I wanted to get Ratchet 1 more level to max. So I did just that, and once I beat another boss, it pushed him over the edge, and Ratchet reached max level for that trophy to pop, along with the platinum trophy pop as well. So that was the Ratchet and Clank platinum trophy experience. Overall, I think the game is really fun. It's super laid back, but also super high action, which is a rare combo, but always great to have. However, those last few trophies kind of sucked, I'm not gonna lie. by. Like, I probably spent almost near half my playtime just grinding kills for experience, and it's kind of repetitive, to be honest. Especially since level 9 to 10 is a huge gap compared to the previous levels, and it's just dragged out. But rating the game out of 10, I'll give it a solid 7.5, and yeah, furries.